All right, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing day out there. I'm your host, Phil, and today's video, we're going to take a look at Blackstar's first attempt to conquer the guitar plugin market with their St. James plugin suite. Let's roll that intro clip and then get straight to work. Now, I have to admit that this release completely went under my radar. I just recently learned about this plugin from a video which Mendel created. By the way, check that video out. That's great, and it showcases what this plugin is capable of in the context of death metal. Now, I wanted to give you kind of a full-scale experience, kind of dive you through all the menus and that stuff like I usually do on this channel. But first, let's talk a little bit about some trivia around this particular plugin suite and why it stands out, in my opinion, against the competition. So the Blackstar St. James plugin suite has been released to emulate or to give you a digital representation of their recently released St. James amplifier series, which consists of two models, the EL34 and the 6L6. The EL34 is more of the Marshalloid mid-gain territory thing, while the 6L6 is supposed to be catered towards the more, let's say, metal-oriented guitar players out there. And in my opinion, I played both in the music store in Cologne. They do their job fairly well. However, for the 6L6 in particular, I was missing a presence knob to give that a little bit, a little bit sizzle, a little bit more fidelity character. And the assessments which Ola Englund made in his video around the St. James 6L6, I fully agree on them. He also said that the presence knob was basically missing. However, what this plugin suite makes it so special and stand out of the competition is that this is sort of or at least from, let's say, the public perspective, an in-house development of Blackstar. This is being developed by Blackstar, being distributed through their own channels and sold by them. This is not a licensed plugin model, which a third-party developer is kind of bringing you out there, like, for example, Neural DSP with the 14 Nameless, with the 14 NTS, and so on and so forth. This is a Blackstar-owned product, which they sell on their own website. There's also a 7-day free trial if you want to check this out for yourself. Why I think this is kind of revolutionary and trailblazing is that digital is on the forefront. You see it everywhere. Joe Satriani used also digital only on his latest album. And I think amp manufacturers kind of have to come to reality that digital is here to stay and is not going anywhere. And they should take rather ownership over this market instead of kind of just leaving the playing field to other people out there and then doing this licensing scheme, because that's kind of getting a little bit boring and old, and it's changing depending on who is getting the money and so on and so forth. So that's a little bit of a bummer out there so far as it is currently on the market, but this is an interesting opportunity, and I think it's interesting to see who will follow suit. Will we see at some point in time a Marshall JVM plugin officially released by Marshall? Very curious to find it out, but that's not what we're here for today. We are here for the Blackstar St. James plugins. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into the graphical user interface before we then, of course, get into some tones. Now, I opened up the St. James plugin suite in its full glory, and I have to say, it is an absolute joy to look at. The visuals are perfect on this plugin. I really enjoy this so far. Let's dive through the different elements of the graphical user interface and then straight into the tones. We have over here the preset box where we can select different presets, which either have been created by Blackstar or the amp tones. And then we have the user defined presets over here. We can import, export, we can favorite specific ones. Then they're going to pop up here in the favorite section. Here we can save them, and here we can set everything to default. So far so good up here. Over here in this corner, when I change anything, you can see that the changes which I made are being displayed over here. Very nice and sleek design from that point of view. Moving over to the center, to the heart of the plugin, we can see whatever block we are in this case the amplifier block, which looks phenomenal and exactly like the real deal. It's like really having the amplifier at your disposal digitally. And here we got the EL34, here we got the 6L6. Really look like the real deal. I really dig that. The knob layout on both amplifiers is exactly the same. 3-band equalizer, two different volume knobs for the two different channels of the respective amplifier. Gain, we got the channel select, we got a channel to voice and a channel to boost, depending on which amplifier you're using. We got this power 50 watt sag thing. We got the master knob, which adds a little bit of a power amp saturation to it. So it tries to emulate the power amp saturation. And then of course these switches over here. Down below, we got the input and the output knobs over here. We got the gate, which we can set up to our taste, mono stereo setup, and then here we got the singular blocks over here, where we can either choose between pre-effects, consisting of compressor, drive, chorus, phaser, or the amplifier respectively, or the cab section, where we can choose our microphones and our cabinets. Gonna explore that in more depth later. Then we got the post effects over here with a flanger, tremolo, delay, and a reverb. And we got an EQ, which is not parametric, but we can choose different frequencies and we can then boost them or tame them down. What I really like and enjoy and think that should be a staple, and it's kind of becoming a staple with a lot of plugins, is that you still have the amplifier settings at one glance, and you can, for example, change the master while still being in the EQ section. That's really, let's say, convenient when you want to kind of shape the tone together with the block you are actually in over here. Now, note that this is now currently set at the EL34 before we go into the tones over here. And in regards of the signal chain, I got my trusted SM30 from Fenix, which has some Guitar Fetish single coils here in neck and middle position. I'll mostly stay on the neck position when I'm moving on the single coils. We got the DiMarzio X2N super high output humbucker in the bridge for some nice metal chugs. This is going into my Audient ID44 interface, which has the gain set to roughly 3.5-4 dB boost, so that I'm hitting the amp sim a little bit harder. All right, let's dig into the tones. This is the absolute default tone over here. Got the neck pickup engaged currently. This is what it sounds like. Now you already recognize it's definitely not a high gain tone by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. And this lacks a little bit of presence, of clarity, exactly the things which I really recognized when I was using the amplifier in real life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump the treble up quite a bit, kind of nearly dime them. And yeah, we're currently on the channel 2, so we're already on the drive channel of the EL34. That already sounds better. However, I like to judge my tones based on the clean tone, so I'm going to take this away. All right, let's go for a true clean tone. That's a great clean tone, kind of like as a bass. That's sounding really good. Oh no, that's a boost for channel 2. Let's ignore that. Let's pull some reverb. Very subtle, very in the background. Let's put that reverb on top of it. That's a little bit more in your face, but we're gonna turn down the mix. That sounds nice. Then we're going to have a delay. We got different settings over here. Feedback, how often the repeats are, the tone, how much of a dampening you have on the trails. I like them pretty dark. The saturation for tape saturation, not going to dive too much into that one. Okay, going to tap this. right, so far so good. Nice clean tone over here. Let's explore, as a next step, the effects, because I like to use them more on clean effects or on clean sounds. I'm not so much of a guy using modulation effects and that stuff on leads. So, the tremolo. Works pretty well. I like it a lot. Next up, the flanger. All right. One thing, I do not play clean normally, so you're going to hear all the same chords all the time. Sorry, guys. I just want to give you an insight on this plugin, but I cannot play clean if my life would depend on it. That's a nice throaty flanger sound over here. I really like the effects over here. Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. So, chorus. Chorus is really nice, really nice. Flanger, I like that, usually like this. Let's turn the volume up and the master down. Nice tone. Really good for clean players, for blues players, for all of that styles. I think this is also where this plugin shines the most. One word on the effects. I really dig the effects. I think these are the easiest to dial in effects I have encountered in a long time, maybe ever, in such kind of a complete amp suite sim. A lot of them, a lot of those modulation effects in these suites sound kind of fake and kind of just laid over. One example which comes to mind is STL Tone's Amp Hub. I don't like the modulation effects. Everything else is awesome about this program. I love this to death. I'm a subscriber since day one, but the effects are lackluster on Amp Hub. And here, they are absolutely superb. Every single effect which I'm trying over here, I enjoy full-heartedly. All right, but this is so far everything about effects. Now let's go actually ahead and dial in a thrash tone, or kind of a metal tone, which I would be satisfied by using so. And while doing that, we're going to explore the Cabrig section as well as the EQ a little bit. So here's the default sound of the 6L6. Now, again, we have the post effects, so we're going to take that out. I'm going to also check nothing is set up over here. Good. So, what changes would I do? I would push the treble a little bit. We're not going to push it too hard because the cabinet is going to play a big role in shaping the tone. I'm going to take the gain off a lot. Going to scoop the mids quite, and yeah, bass a little bit. So, yeah, master. There is some sort of power amp simulation, but on 5, the effect is not that great. We're going to leave it where it is. We're going to try out the channel 2 voice. It has a little bit more crack to it, so we're going to take that. We're going to go for the typical Tube Screamer settings over here. I'm going to boost the tone a lot. I like it a lot. That's already a very passable tone. It does sound a little bit muffled, but that's what we're going to do, or what we're going to deal with in the cab section. Now, the cab section, let me introduce that first. We got the mics, which we can choose from. We got some classics over here, SM57. We got the MD421, the Newman 67. We have the AKJ C414. We've got the Ribm R121 and the Biodynamic M160. All of them are coveted classics when it comes to guitar amplification and miking that up. So that's pretty cool that we have this kind of, let's say, distilled selection of high quality microphones. I usually love the classic SM57, so we're going to go with that one. Over here, we got the cabinet selection, which ranges from 1x12 combos up to 4x12 cabinets over here. What we don't have and what's missing here completely is a third-party impulse response loader. Now, this could be a deal breaker for a lot of people because they have their fixed set of impulse responses, and I do understand that assessment and that statement, and I also stand behind that. That's something which they should have implemented over here. But I also understand Blackstar. They want to first, of course, sell their products to a certain degree. They want to advertise their Cabrig because this is also something which is embedded into the Amped series, as far as I'm aware. And having sometimes a limitation on your capabilities just makes you more creative. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. You just have to decide for yourself, is it something which you want? Or is it a deal breaker for you or not? For me personally, it's not that much of a deal breaker because you still get some good selection. And if you're using a DAW or DAW like Reaper, you can deactivate it, use your own impulse responses, and then you're good to go. However, moving forward, we're gonna now go for Series 1 Pro 4x12B, and yeah, this is what it sounds like in the blend. Now I'm going to actually solo this. So you already can hear that there's a slight shift in the panning. That's of course natural because we got the panning set over here. You can also hear the characteristics of the different cabinets and the microphones, but I think they actually blend fairly well together. Oh, volume knob. Over here, you can set up to be on axis. Or respectively off axis. I like the ribbon microphone, the Royer, the most. This is just a riff I just came up with. So it is a little bit inspiring to play through this rig over here. Sounds really cool. Has a nice percussive touch to it. Like but in my opinion, it still lacks a little bit of that presence sizzle. It sounds already great as a bass tone, not a bass tone in the sense of bass, but as a core tone. But it does have that lack of sizzle, so we can use the equalizer to kind of get that out of it. So I'm gonna boost the 7K region, yeah, around 2 dB to 3 dB maybe. I'm gonna cut the lows to 70. I think 70 is enough. Now that 7K region might be too harsh. Let's go for 5K. All right, I have to say maybe add a little bit more bass, but make the cut a little bit better. That's the lamest way to avoid any kind of demonetization. Yeah, but it sounds awesome. It's a really good tone, which you can sculpt out of here. Let's dive through some presets, but first let me save this over here because I really dig that tone. Okay, pip, thrash, 4. Okay, that sounds great. Now let's move on to some presets over here. I already have eyed on some of the presets. First, full on metal, of course. Sounds a little bit more saturated than my tone, which I had a little bit louder, especially. But yeah, this sounds great. Some more experimental stuff, acoustic ambient. The very nice piezo type, acoustic type feel to it. Let me dial back the output a little bit so you're not getting immediately deaf. Very cool. Yeah, very cool for, you know, acoustic stuff. Yeah, what else do we have? Clean spread. Let's go for that. Oh, hair metal lead. Try that out. Yeah, that's a hair metal lead tone there. What else do we have? Hair metal phaser, of course. I know, everybody does it, and I suck at it, but it's so much fun. Next up, we got Lush Chorus. Let's try that out. Tight metal. You've been demonetized. All right. Jokes aside, no, the presets on this plugin are really good. I like it a lot. They offer a great starting point to kind of get you going. I think for metal, especially the full-on metal tone, let me check that out again. I really enjoyed that one. Let's compare that to the Pip Thrash 4, which I created. I like that tone a lot, man. I like that tone a lot. All right. Yeah, I think I've shown everything which I could show on the amplifier side, on the tone side. Let's go to my conclusion. Now, what's my conclusion on this plugin suite? Yeah, first let's evaluate the price. The price is somewhere around 100 euros, $100, somewhere around that mark. And I have to admit, it's not fully my vibe when it comes to high gain tones. The high gain tones are absolutely usable, but when it comes to thrash tones, I rather prefer something more aggressive, something more tighter, like a 5150 type of amp. STL Tones Josh Middleton is perfect for my personal needs. I don't need anything more than that. It has a great clean tone with the PV XXX, but I have to say, where do I see this plugin in the market? I think this plugin is tailored towards the people who want to have the most versatility out of their plugin suite which they purchase. So if you are somebody who is doing a lot of clean, a lot of crunch tones, and you just want to occasionally drift into the high gain territory, maybe do a little bit of a punk rock thing where tightness and that percussiveness is not all end what you need, then this is a perfect match. I think then it really fits well your needs. What I really dig about this plugin are the effects. And this is something which is not to be taken for granted. There are a lot of great plugins out there which have crappy effects. And I think this is where this plugin absolutely shines and kind of, you know, kicks the competition out of the game, basically. I think this is a very interesting first mark for Blackstar to kind of put on the market. A very first interesting, yeah, you know, like a blueprint which they put out on there. Again, I'm super curious who's going to follow this trend, if there is going to be kind of an emergence on, let's say, amp manufacturers doing their own plugins or not, or if this is kind of going to be remain obscurity as it is currently on the market. Great plugin. Would I personally buy it? Maybe not. Maybe for a discounted price, alone for the clean tones and for the post effects. But as it stands, I wouldn't purchase it. I think I would rather go with the mic stringer because the high gain tones are more appealing, but this has something to it. So I'm super curious about the next steps which Blackstar is going to make. I'm super curious what you guys actually think about this video, this plugin, and everything about it. Leave it down in the comments below. Let's engage. Let's have a chat together. Thank you so much for watching these videos, man. They're taking forever, but I like to give you the full experience. Hope you dig that. Hope you are with me on that journey. And yeah, we're going to see each other on one of the next videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, engage in the comments, helps the channel, boosts it a little bit, puts it a little bit into the feed of other people out there to discover. And yeah, hopefully we can soon break through the 1K subscribers. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, nothing else to say for me. Take care, everybody, and stay metal.